5 seconds.
Gotcha.
All right. And welcome to Heller Barnes. And today we have the unfortunate situation, which is actually great. Johnny Heller's doing fantastic. He has moved in the last month, and I know he's in his new place. His booth isn't set up. He's not stressed out at all, other than he thought he'd be all done by now. And there's 400 things going on. And for anybody who's an adult who's moved half dozen times will know that that's one of the high stress situations that comes up. I don't remember what the psychologists say. John, do you remember? And I have a fantastic guest today. So let me welcome in John. I'm going to use your pseudonym, John Solo. John, welcome. Glad to see you.
Howdy,
How you
howdy.
doing?
Man, I've really been looking forward to this. This is a dream come true. I've wanted to come on this show since you started it. So thanks
Well,
for having me.
cool. Well, we're happy you're having you. I am happier here. Johnny would be happier here. So Johnny's finishing his move. So I'll just finish with that little discussion there. And he is up to his eyebrows in boxes. And I think they're like rabbits. They're multiplying. And every time he thinks he's done, he's finding new boxes or new things or things are being sent that they've already. So he's dealing with 100 things there. But since his booth isn't set up, he's like, he can't do his regular work because of, all the fun stuff. So he apologizes, but he's doing great, and he'll be back with us as soon as possible. So, John, let's talk about you. That's a lot more important than just me or him and all that kind of good stuff. So I know, if I remember right, so we've just introduced you as John Solo. I think that's a pseudonym because I am so, clever with naming, and I'm guessing. And is that a pseudonym? And is that close?
Yep, it's absolutely a pseudonym. As we were talking off air, I'm a preacher's kid, and my dad was a Baptist minister, and I didn't want to shame his name, as it would be by some of the material that I do. I work a lot in romance. So initially, we selected a pseudonym, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Han Solo, John Solo, kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I also work under my real name, John Bricker. It's no secret at this point. And also, I've worked under Jack Wayne occasionally as well. So I do have several pseudonyms.
So here's the thing. So for people that are newer to the business, they're all wondering, do I do this under my own name? Do I do it under another? Are there pros and cons from doing the pseudonyms? I've never done it.
Yeah, the pro is you don't embarrass your father.
Okay.
But honestly, I wish at this point that I hadn't have done it this way, but there are advantages to it because I do a lot of romance. I try and put like nonfic titles, um, straight comedies, that sort of thing, under my real name now, John Bricker. And that's slowly building. There's only a few titles up on there because I work a lot in romance. I've also I've done a lot of urban fantasy stuff and that sort of deal, and somehow that actually landed under my John Solo pseudonym. I don't remember why that worked out that way, but it did. And actually, some of the biggest projects I've ever worked on that are not romance are under John Solo. So at this point, occasionally, if a publisher wants to offer me something and they don't feel like the author wants to deal with the backlash of working with John Solo because of the romance, they will ask me if I'll use my real name, and that's all good with me. I kind of stopped working the Jack Wayne one 3 or 4 years ago, somewhere in that range. It was kind of a struggle to keep both of them going with marketing.
Right. Because also then you kind of have the situation that people maybe can't find. Now today they can because you've been doing it long enough.
Mhm.
But it means that if I know you by one name, and it's actually something like Facebook's even worse, where you see a picture of somebody and they look totally different today than they did. Their Facebook picture is 5 years old or whatever. And if you see them at an event, you're like, do I know that person? And then I'm sure if a publisher's reaching out for you and then they don't know your real name, now they could probably find you, but it probably makes it a little more complicated at some points but I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, it's worked out for me. But again, I do 95% of my work under John Solo.
Okay.
That's just the way it's been and the way it's worked out. But yeah, occasionally I can't imagine doing like a Christian title or something like that under John Solo. I don't think that would fly as well.
Yeah.
So I do have that, the backup of using my regular name these days.
Yeah,
I
that's
wish
cool.
I wish I could use it more, but Everybody wants to hire John Solo. So
So yeah. So and you used to, so let's how in the world, so you started off, I think you were in an Amish village. Do I have that straight? And then you no. I
I've got the beard for it, I guess.
I don't know. Just the first thing I thought of. How in the world were you an actor? You were doing mime out on the street. How in the world did you get started in the audiobook world?
Sure. I started as a musician. I was a semi-pro musician early in my life. Then things changed, and I started apprenticing as an audio engineer. And I became an audio engineer running live sound and lights for bands. I'm just northeast of Columbus, Ohio, pretty much all over Central Ohio, then expanded to the entire state. And that kind of took over my life. At one point, I finally got laid off from that dastardly day job. So I went full time. I bought my own sound system, my own light system. My wife started it with me. She was my lighting queen. She was running all the lights. I was running all the sound. Unfortunately, it was kind of hard to make a living at it. We
Yeah.
were doing all right, but nothing spectacular by any stretch. So we kept on using sites like Odesk, Elance, that sort of thing back in the day to try and find different avenues of work. I did everything from forensic audio for attorneys to
I've done that.
music and sound effects for games, a lot of e-learning courses,
Right.
and everything in between. Then one night I'm at a gig. I run into an old buddy there, and he says this ACX site that he's been working on with audiobooks. I was always a voracious reader. My wife has an English lit degree. Kind of seemed like a good fit. So, and excuse me, I'm going to clear my throat. Hang on. It took us, I don't know, me, her, and one of our buddies who was recording in my recording studio at the time, which conveniently I had a recording studio. That's something else that we were doing, bringing in bands. We all went on ACX and we each did 3 auditions. And I
Wow.
believe each of us got 2 of them out of the 3.
How how long ago was this?
2012, 2013, somewhere in that range,
Oh,
right after
cool.
ACX started.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, ACX was doing this stipend deal as well,
I remember
on
that.
some books. Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day when we were young.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know, the ACX themselves, Audible, would pony up $100 per finished hour on top of a royalty share.
Yeah, I remember
And
that. Forgot about that. That's right. There was, yeah.
yeah, we got several of them. And in fact, one of them, it wasn't my book, but it was my buddy that was lead singer in a band that was recording with us. He got one that ended up being a hit, a
Oh,
minor hit. And suddenly we're making $1,000 a month in royalties, which is far more than I ever made as a musician, by the way.
right. I
I
know.
was shocked. So from there, the first book that I got, which was not a hit, by the way, ended up being a male romance book, and I'm I don't mind. That's fine. I mean, I'm a straight, happily married man, but I said, okay, cool.
You're an
And it was
actor
a
though.
royalty
I mean,
share.
you took it on as an acting gig and said,
Yeah,
and of course you wanted it to be fake, right? You didn't want it. You wanted everyone to think that you were 100. You were not the character you were playing. Is that close?
of course. I didn't care. I was thinking, pay me.
Okay.
Is exactly what I was thinking at the time. And mind you, we had no experience making audiobooks at all, none whatsoever.
Yeah, but it was also a time where I don't know many people that did.
Well, yeah, for instance, I didn't know that you had to take out pauses in between lines. So if there's a 15-second pause while the narrator stops and takes a sip of water,
Right.
didn't even cross my mind. I had no idea. The RMS values, I had no idea how to hit any of that. That was a whole adventure in and of itself, let alone things like lip smacks and that sort of like we had no clue. The
Yeah.
production quality was horrendous, but we made it through.
Yeah.
Now I ended up approaching a fairly popular publisher in the romance industry at the time because I saw that they had it was like 50 or 60 books up on ACX at the time, and most of them were pay per hour, some were royalty. So I got the bright idea in my head that I would approach him about doing a few. They thought that I wanted all of them. So the next thing I know, I have like 50 contracts,
Gee.
and it's just me. My wife can't do these books. It's romance, so it's me and this other guy. I approach everybody I know in town that are in bands, that are singers and that sort of thing, especially anybody with acting experience. And the next thing I know, I'm running a full-time 12-hour-a-day recording studio with actors coming in, a half a dozen of them every day recording these books.
Wow.
And it took off from there.
Yeah, well, that's kind
These
of the traditional route. I think that's what most people do.
we learned very quickly. At this point, I wasn't working for pubs, true like Tantor or anybody like that. It was just this. They were called Dream Spinner Press. I was working a lot through them, and then we were picking up the occasional gigs on the side through ACX as well. One of them really took off. Really took off. It was a series called the Dead series by T.W. Brown, and I was just the producer, but I was basically splitting profits with the narrator 50/50. And in the first 30 days, it sold, I don't remember how many thousands of copies. It was
Wow.
ridiculous. And it was royalty share, straight royalty share. So the next thing you know, I've kind of started to develop a new business model. These royalty share things are going really well. I've actually stuck with that for the most part through my entire career, by the way. I still do the vast majority of my work is indie work,
Hmm.
and a lot of it is royalty share. And I've had great success with it. It's
Which is,
really not the model most people take, but
I was gonna
that's what I
say,
went with.
matter of fact, you'll see all over, if you're in any of the Facebook groups and some of the other places, you will see people go, "Oh, I did 4 royalty shares and I made $5 or $20. This is terrible. I'm not ever doing royalty share again." I see that
Mhm.
all the time, and probably they're right for what they picked. Or how many books did it take you before you like started feeling like this royalty share is actually has some great potential other than your hits? You had a hit early on, so that was kind of had to be a glimmer of, oh, I got to get some more of those, correct? Maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. When lightning strikes and it doesn't. I looked the other day, I have close to 200 books royalty share, currently.
Okay.
Um, and most of them too have re-upped after the 7-year mark, which is awful nice. I've developed a lot of personal relationships with these clients. They're friends of mine, and that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
But, probably 20 or 30 in, I was like, "Yeah, this is where it's at." And I really started to develop that model. And yeah, the friends I have, I'm in narrator groups.
Right.
So far, I'm one of the only ones that I know personally that does this, this particular model. Now, Jeffrey Kafer and a few other guys have had great success with it, out there, but, I don't really know them. So,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been friendly with them in the groups. But
Right.
yeah, it's worked out really well for me. A few years in, as some of the actors kind of started to drop off, it came down to just me and my wife finally by 2016, 2017. She was my producer, as well as my proofer, my editor, all that good stuff.
That's cool.
Uh, she got sick, really sick. She got breast cancer.
Oh,
She had to step out from the business for a little while. And that ended up being kind of a semi-permanent thing. She's back in some capacity here and there. She helps out, but she's not really a producer editor. I had to really start figuring out how to do it all myself,
right.
which it was a struggle. That's what right when punch and roll started to come around. I started to hear about that a lot.
Yeah.
That's a technique that changed the entire process entirely for me. Um,
Would you go
the,
back to the old thing you were doing?
you couldn't pay me enough. The,
Okay.
the clicker, it just takes so much time, and it's so unnatural sounding afterwards to my ears. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and being an audio engineer, that production quality means the world to me.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of developed my system along the way with punch and roll. I was really still working in a vacuum. I kind of learned what to do and how to do it and how to make books over the years, but I didn't really have any contact with other narrators other than the ones that I started out. It's just that simple. Then I
Yeah.
ran into the Indie ACX Facebook group,
Right.
um, and I started to really learn a lot. I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my God, there's other people out there. They're doing it too. This is amazing." And then a couple of things happened. I decided finally to hit a convention. I did 2 in 1 year. One was GRL, it's Gay Rom Lit, and the other one, I forget the name of it. It was in Amsterdam. I did 2 over a summertime, and that changed everything. I didn't realize people knew who I was. Like, no concept. I mean, I knew they bought the books, but suddenly I'm standing in a convention and, I hear this, "That's John Solo over there," that sort of thing. And I realized, maybe I can market this. These royalty books are doing well. Maybe I can start to market a name. That's when I really started to shift my focus. At that point, I had my first acting coach, Sean Allen Pratt. I hired him.
Yeah.
Fantastic, just a wonderful experience. It changed everything. Um, and then out of the blue, one of my friends, an author friend of mine, said, "You really need to have a Facebook group." And I said, "I'm not starting a freaking Facebook group. There's no way." This was like 2018, maybe 2019.
Yeah.
She started it for me. John Solo's Beard Brigade, because I had this big old beard at the time. She started it, and pretty soon there's 1,000 people in that thing,
Wow.
which I never expected, never anticipated. Um,
That's crazy. Crazy
yeah.
good.
So COVID hits, and everything changes again. And
Right.
I decide I've got this group of people that like to listen to me, and they're all shut in right now. Why don't I start doing live streams? So I started live streaming just random sessions, that sort of deal. That turned into starting the Talk to the Beard show that I did, where I was bringing narrators and authors in. At one point, I had 3 different podcasts going on, and I was
Wow.
live streaming my sessions every day into the Facebook group
So you're
over
doing it in
COVID.
so let's talk about the live stream first, details. You were doing that on Facebook or
Mm.
or any other platform?
At that point, it was just Facebook. I was
Yeah,
using
but just is
Facebook
not
Live.
a that's underplaying it. Streaming every day and live streaming while you're recording
Mhm.
is definitely not for the faint of heart because you have to be able to take the incoming of ooh, I made a mistake there and everyone got to see it and learn to but you've been a performer though. So, right, you've been on stage as a musician, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was a front man in a rock band for a lot of
Okay, so
years,
you
and then
never made any mistakes there, correct? In front of an audience?
it's amazing, and it's still on video too, so people can remind me of it constantly, but yeah, actually, I just got in a band again recently. Now I'm in a '60s and '70s, classic rock cover band. Do a lot of Beatles and Stones and that sort of thing. It's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
But one of the things that so anybody who's on stage in front of a live audience consistently, one of the things you learn to do, if you haven't done it out there, not you, but for everyone else that hasn't done it, when you make a mistake, your goal is to not have any facial expression like I made a mistake. You don't want the audience to know. You want them to think, well, I don't know if that was just bad taste. But they forget about it if you keep on going and pretend it never happened and you just go with it. And then you try not to laugh at the other musicians when they make their mistake because you know your time's coming. So, we learn to not let on. We might be laughing at somebody, but we don't want anybody in the audience to know that somebody made a mistake. And I certainly tried not to ever give anybody else a hard time about it because I didn't need the grief myself. Is the same sort of thing for you?
Um, sometimes. On stage, sometimes I'll turn around. My other guitar player gave me some guff recently because he messed up the beginning of a song and off microphone, but loud enough that everybody could hear. You hear this from me. Um, but for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
The live streaming actually was a great boon to me. I really really enjoyed it. It gave me an audience again.
No.
Now, Sean had taught me to imagine your audience, whatever story you're telling. That's all well and fine. But for me, having,
Yeah.
2, 3, 20, 50, however many are in the crowd at the time, people, I still, to this day, I stream in Discord every day.
Oh, okay.
And it works for me. It also gives me instant feedback too. Somebody, if I deliver a sexy line and one of the people in the crowd comments, "Wow," I know I've hit the mark. I know I've done my job. At the same time, if I have a good sense of humor and I do a lot of comedy, comedic timing is everything. And if I'm nailing it, the crowd's into it, and you can really tell. It's
Oh,
amazing. And
that's so cool.
yeah, they certainly let you know when you're doing it wrong too. Trust me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. By the way, so just before we went live, I had a problem with the feed that is supposed to show us the comments, and I thought I had it solved. So, as a matter of fact, I bragged to John that we got 20 seconds to go, and I just had it working. Well, there's something about it that isn't working. So there's some comments that have come in. So
Oh, good.
you've gotten we love you, John Solo, and Lisa Barnes said, oh, so many things in common, and lucked into it and learned that as they went, worked out pretty well, I'd say. Hi, John. And then so people are making comments. So I'm gonna take them and read them, and then you can respond to these. So Chris has asked, how do you differentiate royalty share books that will make money from those that will not? I think that's the holy grail of this thing, right? Now I'm going to predict, because I know how this really works in the real world. You look at it and you go, oh, that'll be a winner, and then it is. Is that correct?
Absolutely not. There's a couple things about this. One, it's a numbers game. If a copy is, some of them just never sell. Some of them, I've done books that have sold 4 copies in the last 5 years. That's unfortunate. For the most part, though, because I market my name a lot, if I select the right project, meaning I select, let's say, a romance, a male romance that lines up with the John Solo pseudonym very well, and I have a bit of a name, I know I can sell a few copies on my own back.
Okay.
So let's say I select the right book. Let's say the first month it sells 100 copies. That's a win. It's awesome. It's going to dissipate down, and eventually it's going to trickle down to 2, 3, 4 copies a month, somewhere in there, and not a lot. But if you stack up 150 of those, it makes a big difference. So part of it is a numbers game. Now, Sean told me in the beginning, when I started coaching with him, anyways, he told me the qualifying questions. He has 3. I added a 4th to it. 1, does it make enough money? 2, is it enjoyable? 3, does it further your name, your career? I added a 4th. Do I like the client? Which is huge for me.
Mm.
I clear my throat again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I really, really, really try to only work with people that I really like. And that makes a huge difference. They're friends now. They're not just clients. And sometimes I have to develop that relationship, and sometimes it doesn't work out. For the most part, it does. But finally, and this is kind of the bonus tip, is if you're going to narrate a royalty share book, do a series, if at all possible.
Yes.
3 books, 4 books, 5 books, whatever it may be. You're not going to make your money up front, probably, unless lightning strikes, and it does sometimes. It's not going to strike if you don't get a royalty share project, though. I'll tell you that.
Right.
But the bundle is it's a huge deal. If you narrate a 5-book series, then you let the sales trickle down to next to nothing, and then the author and you will perhaps add a little bit of bonus material, bundle them all together into a large product.
Yep.
I forget the longest one that I've produced. I know it's like 120 finished hours in one book. Close to that, anyways. The way Audible works with credits, somebody has, let's say, 2 credits a month. They got 1 left burning a hole in their pocket. What am I going to buy? Well, that's 120 hours for 1 credit. What a deal.
Right.
Oftentimes, they will buy the book sight unseen, just because it's such a wonderful deal. The bundles are everything. And again, you get to resell a product. It's the whole KISS system, you know?
Yeah. Lisa and I did some prepper books. I did some books where basically, first off, most people don't know that I've actually narrated a series of books. They were back, and I'm going back 14 years ago, where, like when we started, those groups had 200 people in them that we're talking about today that now have 10,000 plus people.
Mhm.
So with 200 people, basically I think that the criteria was, oh, Don can fog a mirror. Sure, we'll let him do it. I auditioned, and within an hour, they gave it to me. So they're very discerning, okay? And for me, I was just trying to learn the craft and how to do it and that kind of thing. And back in the day when there wasn't any information, today you could get coaching, and all the information is available now to get started well and not have to do what you and I did, which is figure it out and do it wrong and leave stuff and do some things where, oh man, we'd both be embarrassed today if we did it that way. But there wasn't the information. You had to figure it out on your own or go do something else. And you and I both did it the hard way. But anyway, what
Mhm.
happened was a couple years later, the guy took these 1-hour things and put them together into bundles, called me, and we produced bundles, took all this material that was 2, 3 years old, and all of a sudden that stuff started selling like crazy. And it
Mhm.
was like, it's found money because you did all the work previously. And I don't know about you, but I can put together the bundle in a couple hours when all the work was already done for the whole book.
Sure.
It's amazing how fast, and all of a sudden, but the series is the trick, because that also tells you something about the author,
Mhm.
that they are
Um,
actively working their craft, that they are actively working their audience. And if you ever can find somebody that's doing a series, then at least that author is into it. And you assume that not only if they've done 3, that they're looking to do 5 or another series. Now, do you do multiple series for the same author?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Many, many, many of them.
Yes.
Because I I really thrive on personal relationships. Once I've worked for an author,
Yeah.
typically speaking, they want to work with me again. Not always,
Yeah.
but
Well,
for the
okay.
most part.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, absolutely. Those relationships are everything. I, not to brag, but I will say, in at least 12 years now, I've never been without a project to work on. There's always something to work on. The royalty share stuff is a great way to keep that going as well, because sometimes the pubs dry up.
Right.
It's just that simple. Sometimes you're not getting those, but
Yeah.
these keep it alive and keep it going.
Yeah, and it also keeps you, working and working on new things. Let's see. So Lisa asked this question. I know almost nothing about Discord, and by almost, I mean absolutely. So she knows absolutely nothing about Discord. Why that platform for live streaming?
Yeah, it's fairly easy to use, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is, right after COVID, within about that year after it all hit, there a couple groups developed in there specifically for narrators. It's kind of like having a studio with 5, 6, 7 different booths and a water cooler in the middle. So the one I work in is called the Haven. The Haven is specific for romance typically,
Okay.
and I don't know how many rooms are in there, 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. Especially for the first couple of years, whenever I was working in there, there was always at least 1 or 2 other narrators working in different rooms. And crowds, it's free to the public. Anybody can jump in and watch. So you'll find people jumping in and watching one narrator, and they'll jump in and watch another, and they'll keep on
Uh-huh.
going. It's free entertainment for them. And then they develop ones that they like and not. So many times it's happened to me now where I've been working in Discord. My favorite, this made me feel really good. My favorite was one day a gal jumped in. If I remember correctly, she was from Romania, and she said, "Oh my God, is this the John Solo?" Which my head's like, but it's amazing who you run into in there. Plus, when I'm not working, I can jump over and watch another narrator and learn from them. It's an amazing thing.
So it's giving you
So
a dual track.
exactly. There's multiple of these out there, but again, the one I work in is called the Haven. But there are others out there too. It's a wonderful platform.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ignorant along with Lisa there. Um, so as far as if you were starting today, series, and when Sean was talking to you about this, basically what he's saying is if you have no criteria for your royalty share, you're probably going to lose.
Mhm.
And doing what I did 12, 15 years ago when I started, and I just took whatever. I really was not discerning about anything, but it was a totally different time. I would never recommend somebody do it the way, but you wouldn't do that with anything else either. If you were
Mhm.
going to become a doctor, you wouldn't use the same techniques they did 15, 20 years ago. That path isn't the same now. And there's a lot better, there's a well-worn path these days. So I love your thing about series. There's a couple books I know you've done. There's one called the Wimpiest Vampire, World's Wimpiest Vampire. What,
Yeah.
what in the world was that about?
The concept of the series, it's an MM romance comedy,
Okay.
and the concept of the series is, taking something like a vampire, but making the absolute worst vampire you've ever seen. So they're horrible at their jobs. I think the first one, it was a world's worst reaper, something to that effect. I kind of forget
It's a,
the title of the first one. They're hits, by the way. They're selling really well. And it's awesome. And this is one of the ones. Uh, Funny enough that it took a while for the author to decide to let me do them royalty share, because if she's confident it's going to sell, if she's confident my name's going to sell on top of it, sometimes it's financially beneficial for them not to give me royalty share.
so,
This one, go ahead.
well, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but there's a point. You're actually selling them on, I want to do royalty share, and some of your authors are like, no, I want to.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, it happens a lot. Um, where and you know what? If they wanna pay my, finished hour rate, I'm not the most expensive out there by any stretch, but I ain't cheap. If they wanna pay that, okay, I'll take it. I'd
Mm,
rather do royalty share, and there are some that I will not do royalty share on. That's if they don't hit the criteria that I've put forth. Typically, out of Sean's questions plus mine, I wanna hit at least 2. I'm really comfy with 3. Like, if I really believe in the project, it looks like a lot of fun to me,
mhm.
and I'm friendly with the client, I might take it on even if I don't think it's gonna sell.
Okay.
it might further my career, and I'm going to enjoy myself in the process. So it's kind of a win-win.
Okay.
But
But
yeah, that project, it's hilarious. The author is fantastic. It's a newer author, Savannah Falcon, and she nails the beats of comedy, nails the beat of pulling your heartstrings, and of course, it's got the happily ever after at the end. I can't say enough about it. They're fantastic.
okay. So, and how did you get involved with that series? How did you meet this author? How did you, I mean, did you trip over it? They called you?
It was through a friend of a friend, and the author met up with me. I've actually known the author offline for several years too, which certainly didn't help. And we were friendly, but I've done one more series from the author in the past,
Hmm.
and it's fantastic. Monsters of Veridia, really good series. But this one, she really stepped up her game big time. I mean, it's almost like the author took author steroids between the last series and this one. The last series is good. This is fantastic. It's some of the best stuff I've ever worked on.
And we're getting comments that Cheryl says, yeah, it's one of the best books ever. Such an amazing book. Brooke says that. Tracy said, Hell's Most Incompetent Demon is
There you
book
go.
one. So they had,
Tracy's my assistant, by the way. She's my lovely,
ah,
she rides along with me every day in Discord. She's my live proofer. She means the world to me.
and Lisa wants you to repeat the questions one more time that you asked that you consider when you're looking at your royalty shares. Can you repeat that
Sure.
all again? Normally they would be, I'd be throwing them in the chat, but I can't do that right now.
Sure. The first one is it going to make money? Is it going to make my rate? Is it going to make money in general? The second is it going to further my career? The third is it fun? And the fourth one, which I always add in, is do I like the client?
And then you had a little fifth one in there. I thought I remember.
Nope, nope,
Nope,
only
those
four.
four.
Yeah.
Cool, 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 cool. So there it is, Lisa. Now you have those back again. So so what do you recommend if I'm brand new and I'm out there and I don't know anything about? I mean, first off, I don't know. You look in the groups and you always have somebody that's I'm jumping in with both feet. And I saw one of those posts in the last day or so, and I thought, okay, I love the attitude, but it's a well-worn path these days. And the problem with going into a group that has 5,000 people and say, what should I do? They get answers. And sometimes I just shake my head and I kind of think, "Ah, well, yeah, you can do that. But, I don't think John would recommend that route. Um, what would you recommend to somebody who's they're in their first year, they've made no money yet, and this royalty share is not good. Any recommendations?
Uh, Sean put out a video years ago that I send new narrators to constantly, and I would have to find the link. I have it saved in YouTube, but the essence of it is, if you want to be an audiobook narrator, it's not exactly what's cracked up to be, and it's not exactly what most people think it is. So what he asks you to do is to select a book, something that you enjoy reading, sit down in a small dark room for 1 hour a night for the next week, and read aloud. If you mess up, you got to stop, restart that sentence again, and read aloud. If you do that after a week and you still want to be an audiobook narrator, come talk to me. That was his recommendation. Solid piece of advice right there, because a lot of people don't realize, one, the stamina involved. I mean, I've said this many times before, but we are vocal athletes. I record anywhere between 4 to 6 hours a day, most days, somewhere in
Wow,
there. I produce out of that typically 2 finished hours and sometimes up to 3, it depends on my day. Uh, and that's a lot of
that's a lot.
vocal. Yeah, and that's what it takes to make a living. Now, if somebody wants to do this just part-time, they just wanna do it occasionally, fine, float, whatever floats your boat, go at it. But that stamina is one thing. The other thing is the focus required for it.
Right.
There's a lot of focus involved, and let's be honest, sometimes you gotta read books. If you wanna do it full time, you gotta read books that you don't necessarily like.
Wait, could this be a job?
Wow,
Wow.
yes.
me, me,
It's even what was it Chris Rock said?
yeah.
Difference between a job and a career. A job, you're counting down until you can leave. A career, there's not enough hours in the day. That's the way this is.
Well,
Uh,
every performer goes through this. So being a musician at points can be really glamorous because you're on stage and you get all the spotlight. And when it's going well and the band's sounding great and the audience is having a good time, it seems like a blast. They don't realize that you came in 4 hours early to set up and do a sound check and verify a bunch of stuff, and you've been there for at least an hour before it started, and then when it's done, you've got an and you might have had a long day before. And then so it's both. It's there are parts of it that are fantastic, but
Mhm,
man, some books, it's like, "Oh, I just have to get through this one," and you still wanna do a great job. You wanna be a
mhm.
pro about it. You wanna deliver your best that you can. So what do you do outside of the vocal stamina? What do you do to keep yourself in whatever you need to do to be focused for those couple hours, X hours?
Drugs.
Drugs, okay, that's good. That's easy. All right, well, then we're done. Okay? Let's although we could start a pharmacy. How's that? Well
I'm not perfect at this, and I fail at it a lot. But when I'm doing this right, I wake up in the morning. I can only allow myself 1 or 2 cups of coffee because I get the stomach gurgles. But after my 1 or 2 cups of coffee, I'm drinking water, I'm doing yoga, and I meditate. I also work out occasionally.
yoga's
Um,
for wimps.
I used to be able to stand on my head against the wall. I can't do that anymore. I'm getting a little older these days, but it's absolutely wonderful for focus. And the other thing that keeps me motivated is the crowd. Like Tracy Johns, my assistant, Brooke. There's a few other people that follow me almost every day, and that really keeps my head in the game. Even when it's not the greatest book, even when it's just ridiculous, they're there laughing with me and having fun. So it's a group of friends. It's excellent.
But that's really smart. So you're doing in other words, you found something. I'm gonna reemphasize. You found something that's good for your health, which means doing yoga. I play pickleball now, but I used to do jump rope. I've
Mhm,
always been I'm always finding something. I sit so much during the day.
mhm.
I'd be the Michelin man pretty quickly here if I don't do something. So I'm every day doing something physical. I think everybody better find something because this thing is sitting around talking to yourself, and you need to find your own way to stay motivated because it is not as simple as it looks, especially someone that's been doing it years like you have. Man, that's a really tough thing, and you're in decent shape, so that's really good. Hats off to you there. Yoga is difficult to do well,
Mhm.
but it takes and anybody doing it at a reasonable level, even it takes focus while you're there, which takes you away. You can't be thinking about what you're reading if you're really doing yoga well in the middle of that class. Now, do you go to organized ones or you now do it at your place?
I have. These days, I do it at my place.
Okay.
And to be honest, I haven't done it in 2 weeks, which is really bad.
Yeah.
Which is why I say I don't always do this perfect.
Oh, okay.
Another big thing too is eating right, because I swear to God, Don, I could make twice as much money as I do now if I just didn't have a stomach. Like, the gurgling sounds that happen, oh my goodness gracious, I've discovered every sound the human body can make.
I
It's
think,
bad.
but the body is a quiet place until you start recording. And I think the issue is that people don't really. So since I've been an editor, I don't do that very much anymore. But I'm fortunate enough to have edited for some of the people that today have 1,000 books,
Mhm.
and the things you hear that you just don't want to talk about, and you don't go tell them that you heard it, you just take it out. There just isn't. I mean, it just happens, and you realize, well, bodies are noisy, and most people you just don't notice it. It's just part of life, and so what? But boy, when you're in the recording booth and you hear people burping and all the other stuff that happens, you're like, okay, but it is no big deal. It is part of the whole thing. But if you don't, you're not, if you do this constantly for a living, you end up being cleaner about what you eat. You figure
Mhm.
out, do you have certain foods that if you eat that you notice it the next day when you're recording, or do you
Oh,
have a
yes.
set of them? Because some people do.
Yeah, for me, I just have to eat clean.
So
My wife and I go to a farm, and buy all of our meat from the guy that actually raises the cows. He can walk out and talk to you and shake your hand. They don't use any additives. They don't use any antibiotics.
awesome.
We grow my wife is wonderful. She grows a lot of her produce in the yard. And this time of year, I live in Ohio, so we're kinda getting low on stuff like that right now, but still, like, she made me, lemon balm tea from the yard, that sort of thing. unfortunately, I have to include a carb occasionally. That's the quickest way to calm down my stomach gurgles.
Yeah,
But like the farm sells fresh sourdough bread, 3 ingredients, and that does the trick.
there it
It's
is.
awesome. But eating clean for me, if I eat a lot of processed foods, like I'm a sucker for macaroni and cheese. If
Right.
I have that the next day, it's a problem. There's
Yeah.
it's just more of it. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But plus, I have a sweet tooth, and that's very bad. I've been trying to get away from that. That really causes a struggle after a while.
Well, I have to be real careful because my wife's on this. I can tell she's around, so I have my own little bad habits there. All the good things I do food wise are because of her. We do sourdough bread because she makes it all regularly. I
Mhm.
make I'm now making kombucha. If you had told me 2 years ago, I just thought that was so foo foo and we'll just say non masculine. But whatever. Now I'm brewing my own kombucha.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'm doing exercises because, boy, as I continue to mature, and maybe it's the same for you, you don't do some of that stuff, and there is no way to sit and record and sit and be focused for a period of time because of if you're not doing something like that.
Oh,
I
yeah, no doubt. And some of it, I can tell, especially if I've had a few bad days, I've eaten poorly.
Yep.
I can tell, not only in the focus, but also in the stomach noises. Funny enough, you mentioned intermittent fasting, which I've done a lot.
Mhm.
That being said, it's a problem if I don't get something in my belly and it starts to rumble.
Yeah.
So anymore, the most I can do is 12 to 15 hours, somewhere in
Right.
there, because the next morning before my session, I'm going to have to get something in my stomach.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, and you also so yeah. That's a whole. We'll talk about that some. We should do another session someday just on intermittent fasting. But
Mhm.
for anyone who's been doing it, I'm probably 4 years in, and now I cycle. So I'll do just plain like 16/8 type things for a week or so, and then I'll switch it around. And then about every 3 months, I'll do a multi-day. I'll do 3 or 4 days in a row where I don't eat anything. Usually it's 2 to 4 days. I actually haven't done a 5 day yet. I want to do a 5 day. I've done 4 days. I haven't done a
Mhm.
5 day. But nonetheless, everybody needs to find their own. And maybe what I'm doing is totally wrong for you, but it's worth trying. And I think it's been going on for thousands of years that people have, taken a day off from eating or a couple days. And at some point, like I don't get hangry anymore,
Mhm.
which I have a lifetime of being a really not nice person to be around toward the end of the day if I used to go 4 hours without eating.
Mhm.
Today,
I know people just like that still.
well, I was just one of the worst. My wife wouldn't even talk to me at the end of the day if she knew I was like she'd just be quiet and go get something knowing that this guy's a rear end when he doesn't eat, and she was nice about it overall, but it was not a good look. And now it's after. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying people need to all intermittent fast, but you do. Eating clean is just huge for this business and gives you the stamina. Also, you were a singer and still are.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
still do, 4-hour gigs,
Okay.
and not every weekend, but quite a few of them.
Singers also, I mean, they're exercising their vocal cords, and most of them are taking care of their voice if they're going to sustain that stuff.
Mhm.
And they that's a whole thing. There's a ton of singers in this business, and they do all sorts of good things to take care of their voice. So let me see if there's any other questions. Um, Don's promo for your appearance mentioned you're a gadget fan. Oh, that's right, right. Um, are you a geeky type person?
I'm a techie. I
Okay.
do love the technology. For instance, like I have a Google Pixel Fold, for my phone.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet. And what do you think of it?
Oh, it's phenomenal. Once you, flip it open, you'll never go back.
Yeah.
It's having I use it, that is my tablet on stage. It's just freaking wonderful. And yeah, for a long time, if it blinked and maybe made a cool noise, I was probably gonna have to buy it at some point. I've luckily in the last few years, my wife is very grateful for this, I think. Our budget has gotten better. I don't have to buy the biggest, newest, bestest thing out there, but yeah, my studio, my booth, you can't see a lot of my gear, but, over the first few years of business, it was like every 2 or 3 months, I'd say, "You know what? This isn't the one. I'm gonna have to get a new audio interface. You know what? This computer isn't quite working out. We're gonna have to." That stuff just kept piling up and piling up and piling up. I absolutely love it, but I'm trying to keep it under control now.
Well, I do think I used to have a phone, once a year when the new ones came out back in the early days, and somewhere about 5 years ago, got to the point where it's like, okay, I can be back a year, or now I'm back 3 years on a phone. I have a phone that was top of the line 3 years ago, and I'm looking at it going, yeah, I could upgrade, but this thing's working great. And
Mm.
so there are just some things in life that I'm no longer keeping up every single year on the stuff. I'm not buying new computers every year anymore. Some of this stuff is now getting so advanced and so good that even when you skip a generation or two, it's not that big a deal.
Well, I was able to, I just had a custom PC built, the first custom PC that I didn't build on my own.
Okay.
But I had one built by a guy, company's name is Perfect Audio, by the way, and fantastic. Jim Roseberry, love you, man. Anyways, he was able to build me a tower that's quiet enough that I'm tapping on it right now. It's in my booth, whereas it used to be, I used to use like a Surface tablet,
Right.
fanless. They stopped making the fanless model.
Okay.
And, I was like, "What the hell am I gonna do now?" So I actually built a spot over here underneath all this fun stuff where I could hide the computer under there.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but to my ears, I could still hear a slight hum, and it
Right.
drove me, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I just can't take it. So, I finally had him build me one, and for the love of God, it's amazing. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
There's no way. Little things like that, that I've just been blown away by the tech.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yep. And the new Macs, the new Mac Minis, which I mean, I have both PCs and Macs, and I build my own PCs. I buy my Macs, but so the new Mac Minis are just absolutely spectacular. And for many of the voiceover community, if somebody got one that's 2 years old still, it's phenomenal. It's
Mhm,
amazing what they're doing now, and it's gotten so anyway.
mhm.
Anything in the last couple of years is just wild, and now you can do that kind of thing. I still like them outside the booth if I can, but it makes sense. There are now machines that could sit any place. You could put them on your desk, and they would be fine. You can put them under your desk, and that's fine. But there's just a lot of options today that we didn't have back in the day, or even a few years ago. So, what about? So, you do some things with Star Wars? Cheryl's saying you like Star Wars. Is that what I? Because I know if you're John Solo, then that means there's a affinity there.
Well, yeah, and, the my company name is Falcon Sound Company.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
I
you
didn't put 2
can
plus 2 together. Okay, good. So I'm
yeah,
slow.
you can put it together like that. One of the first conventions I went to, they had a costume night. So my wife and I dressed up like Han Solo and Leia. She had the Leia buns.
Which one were
I was
you?
absolutely I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I was Han Solo.
Okay. Okay.
I remember, one of the panelists, there, just walked by and said, "Oh, okay, that's on point." And just kept walking, and, for years, I have a control room that I used to use. I don't use it anymore. I My studio is built inside of an old one-car garage,
Mhm.
cinder block garage, which is wonderful. My control room upstairs was designed like the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, wow.
I actually had a one of my friends actually drew me a picture with me and a Wookiee, sitting in there. It was wonderful. It goes way back, man. It really goes way back. Some of the best storytelling, the first 3, Empire is my favorite movie of all time. I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. But yeah, off topic, but the booth is something I'm proud of. I built the booth myself,
There
and
you
when we
go.
started out, we didn't really have it. Anytime a car would go by, we
Mhm.
had to stop, that sort of deal.
Right, right,
So, cinder block garage, I, filled in the garage door, with block, so no more garage door out there.
right.
Then I built a cinder block room inside of the cinder block room.
There you
And then
go.
I filled that cinder block with sand.
Yep.
Then I framed in twice with air gaps. There's air gaps all the way around too in the ceiling. Filled the, floor with sand as well, and then put up some 703 board and all that good stuff, and we're in business. The door, I actually did an airlock system with the door, so there's a sliding door here, and behind it, there's a 12-inch air gap to the second steel door outside. Um,
Wow.
Now we are technically still in the country. It's rural. It's the roundabouts are getting closer, man, but we're still rural for now. But it's still I live on a corner,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of construction around. So dump trucks are going by. In the summertime, Harleys, they all stop at the stop sign. They all speed up afterwards. I had to go industrial strength. So this
Yeah.
thing has paid off. in spades. Rarely, rarely, maybe once every day or two. I'll have to stop for a second because something snuck through. But
Yeah.
other than that, I can record anytime.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's also not cheap. For
No.
those that who have never built one of these things, basically you used a huge amount of mass. When you think of cinder blocks with sand inside of them, and
Mhm.
which is an inner wall to a, there's an outer wall that's got cinder blocks, and then you do cinder blocks with sand. Think of how much weight that you have in that building. I did calculate. I built a studio for my son, and at one point we were said, this thing seems like it really weighs a lot. And so we went and looked at the material list and like what we had bought, and we go, darn, this thing's like 2,500 pounds. In in the and I'm sure when you use sand and cinder block, you're that same kind of thing where it's like you have some serious mass, and that's what it takes to block the low end sound of a Harley, a garbage truck going by, a plane flying over, and it takes time, effort. Did you get to rework anything? Were there any things that you, as you thought, oh, I need to do that. I have to. At least when I built them, one time I put in a whole door, and when I got it done, because I signed it on paper, of course, and then I picked a certain thing, and when I got done, I looked at the darn thing and said, shoot, that is not going to work. It worked fine on paper,
Mhm.
and I ripped the whole thing out and redid it another way. Did you ever have any of that with your build?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We one of my friends, from Scotland, of all places, called it the glory holes because that's who she is, but it's my air conditioning system that I installed in here. When I first built it, I didn't have it installed, and I left, uh, basically a half block worth of the size that I could get pipes through later
Right.
on. I wish to God I would have left a larger hole. So what I ended up doing was I added it after the fact. 2 or 3 years after I built the booth, I added the air conditioning system. I did basically 2, baffle boxes,
Mm-hmm.
that I ran internal hosing
Yep.
through the whole system, one for the inside, one for the outside. Then I have hydroponic fans, um, hanging off the side on the outside there, and a portable air conditioner that basically blows into the fans. I did an intake and an outtake. Blows into the fan, comes all the way through, and right here, which not everybody can see, but it's right behind me here. The vent came in below that. It just wasn't powerful enough. It wasn't a very efficient system, and I didn't have a large enough hole really to make it work properly either. I needed larger glory holes, is what I'm trying to say. So I ended up last year. I just discontinued using the system. It wasn't doing the job, and it was adding noise. So now I have to open up the door. Um, in the summertime, 2 to 3 months a year, I've got frozen peas or anything else under my feet, just to kind
Yeah.
of get some cool on. And I open up the door, and the air conditioner blows in through the door on each break, and we
Yeah.
get
Yeah. Yeah.
through.
I,
Um,
unless you do multiples of them, I don't want to say it's impossible. But it's almost impossible to get every detail right if you have, even though you know the 98% of it, there's something that you kind of look at it and you go, shoot, I mean, you did. So it does take doing something. But here's the cool thing. Despite the fact that it wasn't perfect, it's still at the 98% level. And yeah, everybody else has to stop about 10 times more than you do.
mhm.
Everybody else has to deal with more noise reduction and other things. And so, yeah, but hats off to you for going through that whole thing and making that really, really work. It's cool, but it's also good. Other people should know. John didn't wait till he had it perfect in order to, both go on that project and build it. And yeah, maybe you'll do it different if you were to move and you got a chance and you restarted and you did it from scratch again. Well, now you've learned that lesson, but unless you do it or you help somebody else do it, and then you go, hey, you want some bigger holes in there to do that kind of stuff. That's just
Yeah.
the way it goes. So hats off to you for both doing it and then adapting. And then, those super powerful high velocity fans.
Mhm.
A lot of people will set them outside their booth area, and every half hour, every hour or so, they open the door, pull in a bunch of cool air, shut the door, and then they keep on going. Because I mean, imagine all these people in a closet. A lot of but very few closets have any ventilation in them. That's just not the way they're built.
Yeah. Those people need to come out of the closet before I was done.
Yeah, well, over my pay grade to it. I mean, they can do whatever they want, and that's cool. So is it over time you get recognized more and more and more as you keep building this business? That's been kind of fun.
Yeah, although, I've really stopped. I haven't done a convention now in several years.
Yeah.
I did them for a while. In fact, I was COVID. I keep on going back to that, but I was supposed to go to New York for that whole convention with the Audis and all, but then COVID hit, so
Yeah.
I was actually going to do Johnny Heller's class and everything. And unfortunately, this didn't quite work out. I haven't been to a convention now in 2 or 3 years, but I still do get recognized a lot, like in Discord, that sort of deal.
Yeah.
And, it's enjoyable. There's a lot of groups around that review books, that sort of thing, and I see my name mentioned constantly, which is awful cool. It's humbling, to say the least.
Yeah. You should be
That being
proud.
said, well, and I have I, in particular, have to market. I have to market a lot, and it's because I do a lot of royalty share.
Yeah,
So,
but okay, but authors get to pick who they use these days, and if your name's already out there, then by marketing, I'm having to market this. I do this pre-read thing now,
mhm,
and I have to market, and I don't love doing it. But you have no choice if you're going to do something to market it, because no matter what you do, nobody knows who you are. Not
yeah.
you. Just you're going to market the rest of your life if you want to continue to be successful. Because if you don't, other people that are newer are going to outmarket, and over time slowly eat away at things if you don't keep doing it. But you're smart enough to know that.
Well, it's half the gig, in my opinion. I mean, for every 4 to 6 hours I spend in the booth, there's another 4 to 6 hours between post work, between marketing, between getting on social media. I make video content, all that good stuff. That's the rest of the business. Plus, not to mention taxes and then, all the other
Yeah.
stuff it takes to run a small business. But
Yeah.
that's the other half of my day, most days. Between the post work and everything else. I know you're a post guy. I love doing post work. I really enjoy it. That's probably one of my favorite parts. But
Yeah.
I run a live proofer and I use Positron as well.
Right.
Between those two, I can put it together pretty nicely. I really don't have to do a lot of editing these days. I've got punch and roll down, and because I am an editor, I'm pretty good at hearing the noise when it happens,
Right.
and I'll
Right.
either cut it or I'll redo it right there on the spot.
Yeah.
That
I,
that tends to work pretty well.
almost everybody that's been doing this a while is doing punch and roll at a high level. And when they
Yeah.
do it, at least when they're done, there's no known. I mean, let me ask you this. If you know you made a boo-boo or there was something, you say, "Oh, I'll just someday take that out when I'm all done." Is that correct?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay.
It's gotta get fixed right now. Now there have been occasions, like, halfway through a book where you realize you've been saying a word wrong.
Yeah.
Those situations suck, but
Yeah.
Positron makes it better there. This jumpstart tool that you've started here, I'm sorry, the pre-read tool is
Yeah.
absolute game changer. It's amazing.
Oh,
You'd really I ran into you as a tech guy because of the, Isotope RX forums. That's where I first found your name. And I actually bought your I I didn't need it myself, but I bought your course for a friend of mine, at the time who wanted to be an editor. So we've kinda chatted a couple times over the years just based on that. You're an expert in RX. It's amazing. I've been with it since 7. I don't even know what version I'm on now. But I've done my 10,000 hours in there for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can I can
Yeah.
I can do my thing. But this pre-read thing, game changer, man. You've really done a great job on it.
Well, thank you. I think that the only fear out there is the AI part of it. And if people understood the way it's constructed and what I did in the beginning to make sure that we protect the intellectual property of the rights holders and to make sure that we don't violate, and there's so many things that are done internally to make that thing safe. It's
Mhm.
wild, and it'll take some time for people to really understand that. But once they do, and by the way, I've got a whole bunch of new stuff that'll come up over the next 6 months that I think you'll be pretty happy with as well.
Nice.
Anyway,
Well, Positron went through the same stigma. If you remember
yep,
right, when they were going in some of the groups and asking for people to test it out,
yep,
there was an uproar,
yep,
man. And now I don't know a publisher that doesn't use it.
right.
I mean,
That's correct.
it's
That's correct.
every project I get back.
It's correct.
Uh,
And the issue though is that if they have to, first off, everybody should be skeptical. They should
mhm,
be questioning, is this fair? And that's totally appropriate. And I totally understand that. And if I didn't know what I had done already, I would be the same way of like, is this okay? Once they do, and if they knew behind the scenes, the people that I have using it already, Some people are not sure that they want to be public with it, but they're still using it. It's crazy. It's just nutso,
Mhm.
nutso, nutso. So
Well, it's a
happy about
tool.
that. It's a
It's a
tool,
tool. That's it.
and it's constructed with care because all my whole peer group is all people in this business. So I mess that up and I lose 100% of my contacts and friends, and create
Mhm.
a whole firestorm that I don't need. That's a
Well, you
waste
should
of.
be proud of it. It's a hell of a product already. You should really be proud of it. You did a great job.
Well, thank you. And it's getting even better. I'm working on it every single day here. Still, after it's released, it's like it's just started, just same as
Mhm.
everything else. So, as we wrap up here, anything cool people should be paying attention to for upcoming things that you have or things that you'd like to promote?
Um, Now I got some more Bubba the Monster Hunter coming up here. That's a John G. Hartness, and that's a urban fantasy. It's not MM romance, but we're on season 6, and I get to work on that again. I'm blessed with that whole project. Jubal County, that's another urban fantasy that I'm working on. Both of these are under John Solo, by the way,
Cool.
and we call that the Meth Magician books. The guy can only use magic if he uses meth. It's hilarious.
That's cool.
Let's see here. I'm sure I know I've got some more Savannah Falcon books coming up here in the near future. Today I'm working on a dual romance for Tantor. Tomorrow's over to Jubal County. Next week I get to work on a children's book, Flocks of One by John Morano. It's book 4 in a series I've been working on for years. So I kind of
Wow.
bounce around a lot.
That is so cool. That is so cool. All right. Well, thank you for being here. And I've got pre-read, and by the way, pre-read now is live. So, and that's my little marketing site, which talks about it, where it's got frequently asked questions and details about it. And I think you'll be impressed with that. So check that out if you haven't. And Johnny will be back next week, unless he's still moving, or you know how that works. But we're excited that you're here. Be sure to share this. Be sure to like this. Be sure to make comments after the show's over as well. That really helps the YouTube algorithm. Most people do watch after the fact, so we're super happy you're here. So as always, look forward to seeing you on the wires. Have a great day. Bye
Have fun,
bye.
guys.